Welcome to this week's Swing Report video. Just checking in midweek. We're going to look at a few names: Google, XLC, the sector XLB, Starbucks, and Eli Lilly. And let's start off with a relative rotation graph and just kind of get our bearings around the market, what's moving well, what's not. XLE, XLF, and XLC are in our top three leaders. Notably, XLY is at the bottom. And XLY, one of the top two holdings in XLY now is Tesla. So that's just something to note. And then XLC is what I'm going to focus on now. Typically, these names, these ETFs move around in a clockwise formation from leading, weakening, lagging to improving. They typically don't jump a quadrant, if you will, and XLC moves straight from weakening into leading. Let's look at what's in the XLC sector. Google is one of the largest holdings within XLC. Let's look at Google. So Google is one of those big holdings that jumped the quadrant. It jumped from weakening to leading. So let's look at Google, the chart. Google was one of our swing report names this weekend. It has a beautiful formation. We have a TTM squeeze. What does that mean? It just means price is compressing and we get that stored energy, that stored volatility. When it explodes, the goal is it would explode to the upside if you're a bull and you're taking into consideration the preceding trend was up. So when we get this sideways action, you can position yourself for a possible bull move and then set your stop below the low. Your closest support, 2019. And then 2005, your next resistance after today's high of day is 211374 and then 21514. Let's look at some quick fibs on this. So our first target, if we were to break bull, would be 218728 and 224087, and that's Google with a beautiful formation and a little bit of elevated bull volume today. Let's go look at XLC. XLC has already broken bull, and we know that Google is one of its largest holdings. Bill O'Neill taught the base breakout, the building of the base. So when you have a name that has this rounded bottom of bulls just steady buying the dip when we had that minor sell-off, and now we've broken to a higher high and an all-time high, just a great formation, what you want to see. And we're going to play Google as a correlation or a laggard to XLC since it's one of its largest holdings. So again, I really like the Google setup and XLC looking great. We did have some elevated bear volume back here that we can't, just diminish and say it's not important, but we know that the bears have to bring the volume to bring any price action down, and they really didn't get a lot of movement even with that volume. So really like XLC, if you don't have a position, you could look at this. Well, instead of me drawing these terrible lines, how about I draw a straight line? 73.87. So on a pullback, you could look for a higher low around 73.87 or even 73.28, the daily 8 EMA. Looking at XLB, we had a breakout to all-time high. Just a beautiful chart. We had that TTM squeeze with a little bit of sideways action and then a huge bull break. Again, if you don't have a position in this name and you're looking for a position, I wouldn't buy up here. I'd wait for a pullback either to 77.77, the prior resistance, which would be an aggressive entry, or 76.62, which is the daily 8 EMA. Starbucks has a daily squeeze. Over here, we had this squeeze and then we popped up and then the market ran into some, let's call it bear obstacles. Well, now odds favor a lower high relative to 110.47. It's doable, but let's see what the bulls can pull off. They're going to need more volume than this. They get that lower high, you could look for a pullback for a higher low around 106.37, somewhere in that range where we had prior resistance, and this was that zone. I'm going to draw that for you. I like to draw zones for myself so I can visualize where bulls thought this was a deal. So bulls were buying in here saying, I like this area. I find it to be a good deal. Then it popped up and then bears sold into it. So let's see if we pull back into that range. Will bulls find that to be at a discount? And then finally, Eli Lilly. Love this chart. We have the TTM squeeze. There's no real significance in the red dots. It just tells me to look up, and then I see that price is going sideways and building and storing that price compression. We're holding the daily EMAs. Let's look at a target on this one. If we just do a quick fib pull, our first target, if we were to get past 218, would be 224.08 and then 231.82. Really like this chart, and this actually is a great area to enter. You're not waiting for a pullback on this one. We closed today. We broke the low of yesterday by 12 cents. Not a significant bear break of this daily inside bar, but any pullback above 198.61 should be a good area or a good risk to reward, I would say. And that's it for our midweek check-in for the swing report.